Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me again today for another song of Swami Kriyananda's to help us awaken superconscious awareness and right attitude in life. Today's song is the somewhat sorrowful "I've passed my life as a stranger, Lord." And it's one that I'm very enthusiastic about and have really enjoyed over the last about year and a half, actually. And so I look forward to getting into it together. But before we do, let's begin with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, dearest friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, and our friend and guide Swami Kriyananda, we bow humbly before all of you and lay at your feet the flowers of our devotion and sincerity. Bless us with deeper receptivity to your divine ray. Permeate our hearts with thy luminous presence. Help us not to run away from all of our uncomfortable feelings and realities, but rather teach us to gaze impartially at all denizens of our hearts, all desires, all aversions, all fears, all weaknesses. And with thy transcendent love, help us to overcome all through self-offering, through purification. Om. Peace. Amen. So this song to me gives a great opportunity, both on the spiritual path and also in our discussion around music and the application of Swamiji's music in our daily life. You know, last week we talked about Walk Like a Man, this great song of inner courage and strength, and let come who will, but if they all turn home. You know, it's this very strong piece of music that gives us this sense of courage and determination and things like that. And this piece of music today, I've passed my life as a stranger, Lord, is such a different bhav or attitude or experience, a way of relating to the divine. And one of the things I love about Swamiji's music is it expresses so many different bhavs, so many different ways of relating to life, so many different experiences, so many different ways of giving our heart to God, that we have the song, I'll Tell the World I Don't Have Money, and we sit there and we clap our hands with youthful, childlike enthusiasm. That's a very different experience of the heart as opposed to The Hill That Was Tara, which deals with overcoming the depths of human despair and existential crisis. And then we come to this song, I've passed my life as a stranger, Lord, which I'm not at all speaking authoritatively, but to me is a song of transmuting loneliness into a divine soul call. And I'm so grateful to Swami for giving us music like this, because if your heart is anything like mine, we go through different experiences throughout the day, throughout a week, throughout a month, throughout a year, throughout a lifetime, that we're in different bhavs, that we're in different places in our sadhana, in our daily life, in the way we feel and relate to the world, in the way we feel and relate to God. And it's so important to be able to face into these experiences directly and actually utilize them to draw us closer to God. Because if we only feel that we are being spiritual when we are dancing gaily on clouds of inner devotion, we might be a little let down from time to time when we don't live up to that. But a song like this gives us the incredible opportunity to spiritualize such a commonplace feeling like loneliness, and help us realize that any human loneliness we feel, be it because you feel bereft of friendship, bereft of a loved one, bereft of the intimacy of a partner or of a family or of a place of being, of home, it's something that perhaps we've all experienced at some point. And this song teaches us, it shows us, it provides the thread to actually realize that that sense of loneliness is not actually because of these outward conditions, but is because of a soul loneliness. That the soul is forever lonely, forever alone, forever wandering until it finds its home in God. And what I used to be an actor in Los Angeles, and as such, I got lots of experience, very thankfully, in really having to face uncomfortable emotions and uncomfortable feelings. Because if your job, my job, was to be able to express the whole spectrum of human experience, you can't sort of hide from the less pleasant aspects, because it might very well be your job to sit on stage and authentically experience what it would be like to watch your relationship fall apart in front of your eyes. And it taught me courage of the heart, to not shy away from the discomfort. And it not only in my art, but in my human life. I realized that, as Swami Kriyananda said in a different context, you don't overcome karma by doing it badly. And I realized you don't really overcome emotions by doing them badly, meaning by repressing them or by denying them, or even just simply giving them voice in a human context. But we overcome something by moving with it in a divine way, by accepting it, by taking it, by owning it, and then trying to offer it up to the divine. And that's what this song does for that sense of loneliness. And I've found it to be very cathartic in many ways, but also it's not cathartic in a normal human way. Because often some of us, we can build, especially in modern culture, we build emotional tension, and then sort of this great human cry goes out in the wilderness, and then at the end, you just end up feeling, as Bharat put it once, like a wrung out chicken, like a rubber chicken, like limp and unable to express your soul's nobility more deeply because of that outburst of emotional energy. But if we are able to spiritualize these qualities, these feelings, these experiences, rather at the end of them we find ourselves closer to God because of it. We find our heart sweeter, more open. We find our relationship to God a little closer because of that experience. And then perhaps we could even find gratitude for something like the experience of loneliness because it reminds us of God. So those are a lot of words. But now let's take a listen to the music, and let's listen not just to the lyrics, which are incredible, and I think express many of the lonelinesses of the human heart and the desires of seeking fulfillment and a place of belonging in this world, but let's listen also to this melody. This melody is so wonderfully haunting as it plays with tension and resolution, a sense of yearning and a sense of hope, and then also this constant sense of displacement, until at the end we finally realize why it is that we feel displaced. So, let's sit up straight. Let's calm the feelings of the heart in preparation to really receive the rays of consciousness flowing through this music. And let's ask Swami to help us understand this music, to help us understand this vibration, and to help us to spiritualize the yearnings of our own heart through this music. I've passed my life as a stranger, Lord, roamed far in foreign lands, far, Lord, far too far. Only he who knows he's far from home, only he, Lord, understands. Only he who knows he's far from home feels the earth and understands. Sometimes a stranger did take me in, Then love I thought was near. Love, Lord, where is love? As the winds upon the desert sand whisper hope, then disappear. As soft winds upon the desert sand, so love sighs and disappears. Sometimes a child laughed and I did pause, and dreamed of joys at home. Joys, Lord, only a dream. For what joy is there without your smile, empty like the ocean foam? For what joy is there without your smile? You're the sea, all else is foam. How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? You know where I belong. You know, Lord, yes, you know. Home is where my Lord's sweet presence is. I've grown tired of strangers' songs. Home is where my Lord's sweet presence is. Bless me that I hear your songs. Let's just feel for a moment the sweet yearning of that melody. And that final line, bless me that I hear your songs. Om, peace, amen. This is such a wonderful piece of music to actually sing, and I really encourage each of you to do that, to really, this week, try to learn this song, listen to it. You can find recordings of Swamiji singing it and sing along with him, and then also sing it yourself, because this song is, in the musical notation of it, we're told to sing it very freely, meaning that it's not very regimented. It's not really firm in its timing. Like a song like Hello There Brother Bluebell or The Secret of Laughter is very methodical, is very intentional in its rhythms. And this also has an intentional flow, but that's really what it is. It's a current. It's a flow of music and of experience and of feeling. And so every verse, as we put different words with different notes, and as we sing it, you'll notice that when you sing this song today, it will mean one thing, but as you sing a song in 4 days from now, it will mean something slightly different to you. And this melody is so elegant in expressing the exact feeling of the heart in the moment, that with an acceleration of a phrase here, it can express something slightly different than if you held a single note here. Or if you descend off of a note with emphasis as opposed to moving up to a note with emphasis, it explains something different in the heart. And this is so helpful in getting into the feeling of the heart and expressing it upwardly towards the divine. And you don't have to even memorize the whole song. Take your favorite verse. How about the final verse? How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? You know where I belong. You know, yes, you know. And you can memorize those simple words. It's one verse. And then just try singing it every day. And notice even how the way, the inflection, the rhythm, the speed that you come into these phrases will probably change. And that's natural. A song like this should be like ever new. Every time you sing it, the musician should wonder, I wonder how exactly this is going to come out. But if you know exactly every note, every rhythm, every inflection, every dynamic, this song isn't quite alive. But it's meant to be a living experience, a living expression of your heart right here in this moment. And that's when it really becomes so sweet. You know, yes, you, Lord, you know. You know, those few notes can mean so much depending on where you are and what your heart is doing in this particular moment. How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? That's just for fun. We could sing that phrase in so many different ways. How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? And if you're feeling particularly frustrated with the length of time, you might emphasize that word long a little bit more. But if you're feeling that you're banished, you might emphasize must. How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? And so on and so forth. And I'm expressing this not so much to teach one how to perform this song, because to do that we have to become in service to the piece of music, and that's a slightly different conversation. But what I'm trying to talk about is how to use this song to like rope the horse of your heart's feelings and get it to move towards God. And to do that requires very personal interaction with the music. And so when you sit down and sing, explore those words. How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? And then, we've talked about in the past, let's remember that this song is a direct conversation with God. This is a prayer. Every single verse begins with a statement or a question to God Himself. That we always come back to that, oh, well, not quite, but almost always we end with that word Lord, that we're always addressing it to God. And so this song is intensely personal. This is your heart talking to God. And so when we sing it, it needs to be that. It needs to have the fluidity, the freedom of expression to be where you are now. And this will free the heart from its confines and constructs of how it thinks it ought to be. And this music can teach your heart how to flow more upward in a divine way. And it's beautiful, isn't it? It's thrilling, actually, when we get the chitta moving in that direction. Because a feeling like loneliness can have tremendous magnetism, can't it? It can be like a silent black hole that eats your heart from the inside. And though you wear the mask of smiles outwardly in your life, inside there's this pit. But what if we could transform that magnetism into a divine yearning? Wouldn't that be wonderful? And I'm not saying I'm a past master in this, but I'm saying this song helps. I've seen it help. And it just is such an elegant way of transforming something that can be so painful into something that can actually become so sweet. So now, because the lyrics are so wonderful and well worth exploring, let's just read them together and meditate on them, because it often impresses me how much I can listen to a piece of music and not really absorb what the words are saying. And sometimes if you listen to pop music, that's actually probably better. But with Swamiji's music, it's really well worth paying attention. So the first verse, he says, I've passed my life as a stranger, Lord, roamed far in foreign lands. Far, Lord, far, too far. Only he who knows he's far from home Only He, Lord, understands. Only He who knows He's far from home feels the earth and understands. And I don't have to go too deeply into that, but how many times have you felt that you're a stranger in a foreign land here on this earth? Certainly, I think we've all felt that way at some point or another. I mean, I could look back and my entire collegiate career in Los Angeles, I felt as a stranger, Lord. And always felt just a little bit disconnected, as if I didn't quite belong here. Well, friends, we don't quite belong here. And that's what this first verse is saying. Only he who knows he's far from home understands. That the heart, the yogi, eventually realizes, I am really quite a far way away from where I ought to be. And where I ought to be is with God, and this isn't it. And that can be quite painful at first, but it can be turned sweet through a melody like this, through that yearning, because when the heart's devotion becomes strong enough, you actually will feel God's presence. So then the second verse, sometimes a stranger did take me in. Then love I thought was near. Love, Lord, where is love? As the wind upon the desert sand whispers hope, then disappears. As soft winds breathe on the desert sands, so love sighs, then disappears. And I was just singing this with a friend of mine, David Eby, up in Yosemite National Park. We were walking and singing a number of Swamiji's songs that just came into our minds as we were walking towards a beautiful sunset, and this happened to be one of them. And after we sang this verse, he commented, "What sad lyrics!" And I thought to myself, it just was interesting because I realized it never occurred to me that they were really sad. They were just poignant because so true. How many times have we thought that we could find love in somebody else, but that we realize that no human love can fulfill the needs of our hearts? And so I love these poetry. I love this poetry. I love these words because Swami doesn't soften the blow. This is as far as the human heart could hope and be disappointed. As soft winds upon the desert sands whisper hope, then disappears. So love sighs, then disappears. And we can't, like we said earlier, to re-quote Swami out of context of his original statement, but I think it applies here. You can't overcome karma by doing it badly. If you feel bereft of true love, you can't say, oh, it's fine, I don't really need it. No, you should sing, love, Lord, where is love? And you should sing these words because you have to face that feeling. You have to face that disappointment with courage before it can rise into something more transcendent. Then the third verse, sometimes a child laughed and I did pause and dreamed of joys at home. Joys, Lord, only a dream. For what joy is there without your smile? Empty like the ocean's foam. For what joy is there without your smile? You are the sea, all else is foam. And how many of us have dreamed of joys at home, joys of a happy family, of a fulfilled human life, of which the child laughing is just a symbol, but perhaps it's literally one. How many times I've heard stories of parents who have tried to conceive and have struggled to do so, and every time they see a happy child, it's like a knife in the heart, because it reminds them of what they wish they could have and couldn't. But then, as the verse says, but for what joy is there without your smile? That really what we're seeking is the smile of God in our own hearts, the blessing of God in our hearts, whatever form that takes. This song isn't trying to tell you that you shouldn't have children or that you shouldn't get married, but it's telling you that the joy you're seeking is actually God. And God is the sea, all else is foam. And then the final verse, how long must I be a wanderer, Lord? You know where I belong. You know, yes, you know. Home is where my Lord's sweet presence is. I've grown tired of strangers' songs. Home is where my Lord's sweet presence is. Bless me that I hear your songs. And that verse just speaks so much to me because of my love of music. I've grown tired of strangers' songs. How many times have we tried to sing the melody of other people's expectations, of other people's hopes and dreams and ambitions and desires, but yet it feels empty when it's played on the heartstrings of our consciousness? I've grown tired of strangers' songs. Home is where my Lord's sweet presence is. Bless me that I hear your songs. It's so beautiful, isn't it? That's what this song is all coming towards. You know where I belong, and take me home. That's that final soul cry. How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? It's crying out for rescue. And we should all cry out with that fervor, asking God to come rescue us. So now I am approaching the end of my time together, but just for fun, because the melody is so yearning, has so much power in it. I'll just play one verse on the cello. But let's listen to the tension that some of these notes build, the yearning, in fact, even the pain that it builds in the heart, the pain of separation. And let's not shy away from that. Let's allow that to enter into us and realize that through that experience we can awaken a deeper yearning for God. So I'll play a verse or two and then we'll sing it again together. I've passed my life as a stranger, Lord, roamed far in foreign lands, far, Lord, far too far. Only he who knows he's far from home, only he, Lord, understands. Only he who knows he's far from home feels the earth and understands. Sometimes a stranger did take me in, then love I thought was near. Love, Lord, where is love? As the wind winds upon the desert sand whisper hope, then disappear. As soft winds breathe on the desert sand, so love sighs, then disappears. Sometimes a child laughed and I did pause and dreamed of joys at home. Joys, Lord, only a dream. For what joy is there without your smile? Empty like the ocean's foam. For what joy is there without your smile? You're the sea, all else is foam. How long must I be a wanderer, Lord? You know where I belong. You know, yes, Lord, you know. Home is where my Lord's sweet presence is. I've grown tired of strangers' songs. Home is where my Lord's sweet presence is. Bless me that I hear your songs. Let's try to move with this song throughout the week, and let's use it to uplift the heart's feelings, no matter how uncomfortable they may be. And let's see if we can't discover a greater intimacy with God through that. Thank you, friends, for joining. I'll see you next time.